begin, or you can also say, I'd like to begin by showing you this bar chart.
I'd like to begin with showing this pie chart.
I think I will type it for you. I'd like to begin by showing, okay, you this bar chart.
Bar chart. Okay. I'd like to begin by showing you this bar chart.
Very good. And maybe you can add explanation later, okay? And let's say you're going to end the first topic. What are you going to say?
That conclude the first topic.
Okay, very good. One more time. That concludes my first topic. Very good. So how about if you're going to move on to the next topic?
Okay, move on to the next topic.
Okay, move on or moving on?
Moving on to the next topic.
Very good. Moving on to the next topic. So it's up to you. How are you going to add more to moving on? Okay. And now let's say for the second topic, you also have a chart.
Okay.
So how are you going to present the chart?
Okay. So let's go started. Let's get started. The information in bar chart.
Okay, or you can
about
use okay, are you still there, Fresh? Okay, sorry.
Teacher, can you repeat it?
Yeah, okay.
Can you
sorry.
repeat it?
Was it my connection? Yeah. you froze earlier.
Okay, it's okay.
Okay, I think
it's okay.
Okay, now for this one, I'm moving on to the second topic, right? Yeah, let me type it here, second topic. And let's say you're going to show again a different type of chart. So you can just tell them right away, take a look at this chart.
Take a look. Moving on to the second topic, take a look at this chart.
Very good. So example, if you're just going to show them, okay, a chart.
Okay.
If you don't have any charts with you, don't tell them this one. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, good job. And now let us continue. I will clear all first.
Or, this graph clearly shows.
Okay, we also have another one. This graph clearly shows, and you can add your explanation about the chart.
Okay, this graph clearly shows.
Okay, one more time. This graph clearly shows.
This graph clearly shows.
Okay, shows.
This graph clearly shows.
Very good. So don't forget the S. Okay.
Okay.
Good job. Let's continue.
Or, this graph highlights the importance of.
Okay, so we have many ways on how are you going to introduce or refer graphs and charts. Okay? In line with your presentation.
Okay.
So for this one, which do you prefer to use? Fresh.
This graph clearly shows.
Very good. This graph clearly shows, so it's up to you.
Okay.
Sometimes it's important to go into more detail. Let's have a look at a couple of ways we can do this. Let me expand on this point.
Okay, so this one, if you're going to discuss now, okay? Sometimes when we have a point, we also have details, right?
Yeah.
Remember the P method? We have the prepare, right? Number one.
Yeah.
That is the point. But the details under the prepare, we have the hook intro, okay? The supporting evidence, and the conclusion or powerful conclusion. So those are examples of the details, okay? So how are you going to, let's say, do a transition in explaining the details? You can use these phrases, okay, or sentences. Like example, this one, let me expand on this point.
Let me expand on this point.
Very good.
Or, I'd like to elaborate on this point for a few minutes.
Okay, this one is quite long, right? Yeah.
What does it mean, elaborate?
Elaborate meaning explain more.
Oh,
Okay, but in details.
okay. Okay.
Okay, so kindly read this part. I'd like to elaborate on this point for a few minutes.
I'd like to elaborate on this point for a few minutes.
Good job.
It's also very important to
Okay,
remind
let's
your
go back to
audience.
that one. So which do you prefer to use if you're going to go into detail?
Exactly, let me explain on this point.
Because it's quite shorter than the other one, right? But
Yeah.
if you want to sound more like professional, maybe the word elaborate is kind of new to them as well.
Okay.
So you can also add that one, okay?
Okay.
So let me do a solution.
It's also very important to remind your audience about the purpose of your presentation, why it's important and why it's relevant.
Okay, so this is also one thing. You have to tell them the purpose of your presentation, okay? Just like what he said, why is it important or why is it relevant? Okay, are you familiar with the word relevant?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, good.
As I said at the beginning,
Okay, so for this one, we are now in reminding your audience. Okay? Like, say, for example, if you're going to repeat something, or maybe repeat some point which has other connection to your next point. Okay?
Okay.
this relates to what I was saying earlier.
Okay, let's practice this one. Kindly read, as I said at the beginning.
And I said at the beginning, and
Okay.
this relates to what I was saying erase
Okay, one more time. Can I say earlier?
earlier.
Very good. This relates to what I was saying earlier, like a moment ago. Okay?
Okay, I got it.
Good job. So don't forget to take notes as well, because
Okay.
later I will have you.
Okay.
I'll have you try speaking using these phrases.
Okay.
So which do you prefer to use?
As I say at the beginning.
Okay.
Okay.
And while also writing fresh, you can also write this one, reminding your audience,
Yes.
okay, as your guide. When are you going to use these phrases or this intro?
Okay.
Shall we continue? Yeah. Okay. Are you done writing fresh?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Because
finished.
your video is freezing again. Okay, let us continue.
Or ties in with what I said at the start of my talk or at the start of my presentation.
Okay, so this one is quite long, right? So this one, this ties in when we
Yeah.
say connected. Okay, this ties in with what I said at the start of my talk or at the
Oh,
presentation. Okay, kindly read this one as well.
okay. Say at the start of my presentation.
Okay, one more time. This ties in with what I said at the start of my presentation.
This tie in with what I said at the start of my presentation.
Very good. Okay, one more time. Kindly repeat ties in. Ties in.
This ties in.
Good job. Very good. So for this one, you would like to stick to as I said at the beginning, right? Yeah. But still feel free to take note of this, okay? Because maybe someday you'll change your mind. Oh, I think I'd love to use the word ties in. I mean the phrase ties in, rather than at the beginning. Okay. Let us continue.
If something ties in with something else, It means the two things are connected. Excellent. Now let's think about the last part of the presentation. Here we usually summarize the main points.
Okay, now we are down to
Final
conclusion.
message, thank the audience, and invite them to ask questions. Summarizing. So that brings me to the end of my presentation.
Okay, we are now on the conclusion part. Okay?
Okay.
We look at three main points. First, I showed you or I spoke about, followed by a 1 or 2 sentence summary of the key information.
Okay, so for this one, first I showed you or spoke about, as what the narration said. You have to add 1 or 2 sentences, but it is the summary, okay, of your first main point.
Okay.
This topic. Then we looked at, again, followed by a 1 to 2 sentence summary. And finally, I explained or I told you about, and once again, a short summary.
Okay, so for this one, as you can see, if you're going to do the conclusion, yeah, it's like doing a recap, okay? Or just like a reminding or like a summary of what you have just presented. So you can use first, then, and finally. Okay? Yeah. I showed you, we looked at, I explained you about, or I told you about.
Okay. Okay.
You're done. So for this one, let's try to do this summarizing, okay? So you can read this one first. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. We'll look at 3 main points. Okay, turn. Your turn.
Okay. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. We look at 3 main points. First, I showed you about bar chart. Then we look at information in bar chart, and finally, I explained about how to make profit.
How to gain profit, right? Or how to make a profit.
Okay, how to gain profit.
So yeah, don't worry because that is only a sample details. Okay.
Okay.
So since we're down to summarizing, can you still remember the first one? If we're going to go now to the first topic, can you still remember, Prash?
Probably.
I think earlier you started with I'd like to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can practice those phrases. So should we have a try?
Okay.
Okay, let's start. You can think any ideas that you want to add as of now, okay?
Okay.
Okay, your turn. Let's say that the first point.
Okay. The first point, I like to begin by bar chart.
Okay, or I'd like to begin by showing you.
I like to begin by showing you bar chart.
Okay, showing you a bar chart.
Showing you a bar chart.
Okay.
That conclude my first topic.
Very good. Or that concludes.
That concludes my first topic.
Good job. Okay, and now how are you going to go to the next topic?
Moving on to second topic.
Very good. Moving on to the second topic.
Yeah.
You can still use, okay, the intro that you learned from earlier.
Okay. I will show you this bar chart.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Or take a look. Right?
Take a look bar chart.
Mm-hmm.
Presentation.
Yeah. That one. How about into details, can you still remember? If you're going to go into details.
Uh, talk about look no describe have clearly information describe clearly show, right?
Oh, okay. So that one is for the graph, right?
Yeah,
How about expanding this one, going into detail? Can you still remember? Let me expand on this point.
Let me explain on this point.
Okay. You can also choose among the two, okay? I'd like to elaborate or expand on this point.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
when are you going to use this? Okay, example for your first point. Okay, I will do like this. For example, I'd like to begin with by showing you this bar chart on the screen. Okay. So
Okay.
let's say this bar chart shows the number of sales that we have earned for over the last few months. Okay. And for example, let's say you will add a point. So this is now pointing our revenue sales, for example. And if you're going into detail on that, you can use this one. So let me expand on this point. As what you can see, yeah, you can use this one. Okay.
Okay.
While giving your first point, or giving your second point, or even your third point. Okay.
Okay.
You can use this one. So let's try. Yeah, let's just focus on the first point first. Okay?
Okay.
Wait, let me look for my. Okay.
Okay.
So let's start with. I'd like to
begin by bar chart.
okay, by showing you.
By showing you a bar chart.
Okay. Good job. Okay. So if you're gonna explain the bar chart, you can just also say, oh, this chart shows the what?
Okay. This chart showed the number of sales.
Okay, for example, the number of sales. Okay, let's say for this year or for this month.
Okay. This chart showed the number of sales for this year.
Okay, very good. So one more time, can we repeat? This chart shows.
Oh, okay. This chart shows the number of sales of this year.
Okay, number of sales for this year.
For this year.
Okay, I will just write that one as an example. Number of sales for this year. Okay. So after that one, you can add your point. Okay?
Okay.
So example, you can ask them, so what's our point here? The first point here, yeah, you can add. Let's say, what should be the point about that bar chart?
First is higher number of sales.
Okay.
Okay.
Higher number of sales. Okay, for example.
In August.
Oh, higher number of sales in August.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an example. So you can use going into detail. So let me expand on this point, or I'd like to elaborate on this point for a few minutes. Okay? For example, you can use any of those. So let me just write, let me expand. Okay, so let's try one more time for your first point.
Okay. I'd like to begin by showing you a bar chart. This chart shows the number of sales for this year.
Okay. So for this one, since they're seeing the bar chart, right?
Yeah.
So you can just as what you can observe. Okay. Since they are looking at the bar chart right now.
Okay.
Okay. as what you can observe.
Since what you can observe, higher number of sales in August.
Okay, let's say we have. Okay, example only. We have
a higher number of sales in August.
Very good.
Let me elaborate on this point.
Oh, okay. So if you use elaborate, it's better to use I'd like to elaborate on this point.
I'd like to elaborate on this point.
Very good. Elaborate on this point. Okay. So let's try one more time. You can do it fresh.
Okay.
Okay. So for your first point.
I like to begin by showing you a bar chart. This chart shows the number of sales for this year. As what you can observe, we have a higher number of sales in August. I like to elaborate on this point.
Very good. So that is like a proper sequencing, okay? Or a proper flow. And it's really good because you are now using the phrases, right? Okay, good job. And now how about if you're gonna move to the next point? How are you going to tell your audience?
Moving on to second point.
Okay, moving on to the second point or second topic. Okay? It's up to you. So for the second topic, for example, yeah, if you're gonna tell them right away what it is, okay?
Okay.
You can just say, moving on to the second topic, let's
Talk about
very good. Let's talk about
information comparing the first and the end of the year.
oh, okay, let's talk about the comparison,
Comparison.
okay, of the first.
And the end of the year.
Oh, okay. The beginning. Okay. We will
Okay.
not use first. The
Okay, the
beginning and the end of the year. Okay. So you can use again. Let me expand on this point. Or I'd like to elaborate. Okay, you can use that again because you're going into detail. So since you used I'd like to elaborate, you can use let me expand
Okay.
on this point. Okay. So let's try again from the first topic. I'd like to begin.
Okay. I like to begin by showing you a bar chart. This chart shows the number of sales for this year. And what you can observe, we have a higher number of sales in August. I like to elaborate on this point. Moving to the second point.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on the second point. Let's talk about the comparison of the beginning and the end of the year. Let me expand on this point.
Okay, very good. So those are useful phrases that you can use. Okay?
Okay.
And how about for the third one? Since you use moving on to the second point, how are you going to introduce the third one? That can you still remember?
Next.
This one, I have it here. Now let's move on, or let's turn now to, you can use this one as well, okay? So since we're done with the moving on, which do you prefer to use for the third point? Is it now let's move on, or let's turn now to?
Okay. Now let's move on.
Okay, good job. Now, let's
move on.
Move on to, since this one is the last, right? You can just say the last topic. Okay, I think based on my experience before, Yeah, whenever I say, "Oh, this is the last topic," yes, it's almost finished. Have you ever felt that one whenever someone is reporting or presenting? Like whenever you heard like, "Oh, moving on to the last topic," like it's like the inner you is telling you, "Yes, last topic," right? Or only me? Okay, so you can use this one. Now let's move on to the last topic.
Now let's move on to the last topic.
Okay. So since you started here as what you can observe because you show them, okay, a graph. And you also started the second topic. Let's talk about. So what should you add or what phrase should you use if you're going to introduce your last topic?
I will demonstrate.
Wow, very good. You can use those phrases as well. Okay, now let's move on to the last topic. I'll
Demonstrate.
Okay, I'll demonstrate about what?
To assume model.
Okay, I'll demonstrate
The assume. The assume.
this one. Action.
Assume.
Assume model, like this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, assume model.
Uh,
Okay, by what? By
by
maybe showing them again, right?
by the peak of profit. The
Okay,
peak, a peak of profit.
okay. So maybe by showing again, right?
Yeah.
Chart or something. So since we used by showing you a bar chart, I'll demonstrate the assume model by, let's try to use the phrases on how are we going to present a chart, okay? So I'll demonstrate the assume model. So you can stop on that part and take a look at this chart, for example, okay?
Okay.
Take a look at this chart. But let's say if you're not presenting any chart, you can just change this as well.
Okay.
But if you're going to demonstrate an assume model, are you going to use a chart?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can explain more about this chart. So let's try one more time.
Now let's move on to the last topic. I will demonstrate to assume model. Take a look at this chart.
Very good. So maybe you will add explanation, okay?
Okay.
But remember, after we finish the first point, I think we forgot something here, right?
That include the first topic.
That
does include my first topic.
Very good. That concludes my first topic. Good job. So how about if you're done with your second topic?
Let's cover my second topic.
Very good.